Hello, let me invite you for a journey into the mysteries. This is a Egyptian image I've been looking at for some time now, and yesterday dawned on me the symbology behind this image. So, as we can see, here there is the pharaoh, as it seems by the cartouche here, suckling on a breast which is coming out from this tree which has arms. So it's an anthropomorphic tree. I think this symbolism is called the Lady of the Sycamore. So it's a sycamore tree. I was thinking about it, and there's the breast here, and I decided to take a anatomy image of a human breast and see what I could do with it in this image. Here it is. Here is the breast of a human. The channels and the anatomy, the blood vessels and the channels of milk, we can see has a kind of a tree shape, a fractal tree shape. And it aligns very well with the depiction of this tree. The symbolism is consistent with the breast, which the pharaoh is circling. There is a clear symbolism about nutrition and nourishment of some kind of entity associated with a tree. And just for fun, I decided to include this image in a depiction of a human, a whole body of a human. And I chose this one, which is Nut, the night sky deity, which our word for night comes from, the English word for night. So here we have Nut, the night sky, and here Gab, the earth sky, which becomes Gaia, Gab, Gaia. And here Shu. I like Shu because his name is onomatopoeia of onomatopoeia of the wind. So Shu is the god of the wind, the atmosphere. And as you can see, the breast is very naturalistic in Nut, so it fits well with the modern anatomical image. We can see how it looks, just the veins of the breast with the style of Egyptian art here. This image has obvious fertility connotations, since Shu is holding Nut like Atlas hold the sky. Shu is holding Nut, emphasizing her fertility and nourishing parts of the body. It's a very pretty depiction in a Book of the Dead of someone, which I can't remember the name. And let's see other depictions of Nut in this same configuration. No, before that. Nut as the night sky has a very clear association with one very clear and beautiful night phenomena, which is the Milky Way. This is a time lapse, I believe, in Chile, but the night sky in Egypt is a little different. But this being in a time lapse, it shows kind of the movement the Milky Way makes in the sky. So it rises and it sets like everything in the sky. And it fits with the position Nut is depicted here. And Gab is separated from Nut by the horizon, which is depicted in the next image. So here is again Nut, in the ceiling of a temple. So these are the walls, and here is the ceiling. She is in a more schematic position here with the arms not attached to the right place, but is the same kind of symbol. Here is Gab, not shown. Here is a symbol for the horizon, the mountains surrounding the Nile. The sun is rising and setting, so he is the sunrise, the birth of the sun, and the sunset, the death. And here it seems Nut is kissing the sun, which remembers me of the concept of Kronos devouring his childs, because Kronos as a time god, he can be associated with the sky and the night sky, especially because it's the sky were the main timekeeper for ancient peoples. The regularity became understood as like fate or some kind of mechanism to predict the future, even because it's a real phenomenon. The seasons and the migrations of the animals, it's all cyclical, regulated with the seasons, as the Nile flood, which were the main natural event in Egypt because of the famous fertilization of the black soil of Kemet. And the people of Kemet, as you can see, gave much importance to the night sky. Here in the background there are stars. So this is clearly the night sky with Nut. Here's the horizon. And as the same way the breast was depicted symbolically in the tree, here we have Hathor, which is the fertility goddess. And since Nut is giving birth to the sun, here we have a depiction of Hathor in the horizon, as which is the thing, the real material thing which gives birth to the sun, the horizon. And here between the mountains of the horizon there is a depiction of Hathor. I will now change to a better picture because so we can analyze the Hathor symbolism. So here it is. And we can see she has some kind of stylized ears, which are of a cow, are said to be the ears of a cow. And her face, very beautiful, also has a kind of very clear shape. The limitation of her face is very geometrical. And this image, after looking at it for some time and actually having seen this kind of symbol being used in the symbol I will mention right now, right after, is being used until this day by feminist iconography, and here it is, the association. The feminist iconography was the thing that made me make this connection, this realization. So here it is, the uterus. So it is very well aligned. Hathor being a fertility goddess, there is every reason to think about her associated with a uterus, and her name Hathor, Hat, or what can be understood as two words: the house of Horus, Horus, and Hat seems to be the word for house in ancient Egyptian. So Hathor being the house of Horus can mean she is the uterus which gives birth to Horus. So Hathor is associated now with Isis by the aspect of giving birth to Horus, which is son of Isis. So the symbols are interchangeable sometimes, and the deities in Egypt, the Neteru, can be understood as different aspects of natural phenomena or different aspects of things we normally deal with as entities, deities and demons. So sometimes there are interchangeable aspects, and in the symbology this is very clear. We have here the eyes with this kind of channel here. I don't know the exact anatomical terms, and the eyebrows, and the limits of the eyes delimits this kind of triangular shape in the uterus, and here this kind of protuberance inside the ear is very well aligned with the ovaries. The ear as a whole is very well aligned with the trumps. I'm not sure how to say it in English. And I have a guide for the alignments here. We can see the end of the vaginal channel and the entrance to the uterus is very well aligned with the mouth of Hathor. Every entrance in the entrance or exit you can understand as a portal of kinds, and it's very important symbolically. The eyes, the ears, every kind of orifice. So it's very well aligned, very geometric. The way they depicted this depiction of Hathor, it's very clear to me. But there are other evidence, like this statue, probably of a pharaoh. And here again is Hathor. She is aligned with the pelvic region of the pharaoh, which can be understood maybe as some kind of fertilization symbol, uniting man and woman. So we have the breasts and the uterus depicted symbolically in Egypt, anatomically, so emphasizing the real material aspect of their belief system, their cosmology. So instead of thinking about Egyptians as obsessed with death, like many documentaries tend to say, we can understand they actually have a conception of the cosmos which is very naturalistic and very scientific-like. Science, after all, is just a modern way to conceptualize and formulate and speak and transmit knowledge, but Egyptians were very sophisticated in their natural understanding of the world and depicted it symbolically and poetically in a way which is at the same time beautiful, obscure for some, but self-explanatory after all, because it just needs to keep looking, keep reflecting, keep reading their texts, and the meaning of the symbols end up revealing themselves. And these trees are kind of the same as these ones, it seems. And here again there is someone drinking right in front of the tree. And this, actually I first thought it was a breast, but actually it seems like an animal skin, maybe a calf skin. He may be drinking, I don't know, whatever. It's the same kind of depiction like we saw in the beginning of the video. And again the tree, which is morphologically similar to this one. So if this is the horizon, these are trees, they are associated with the horizon. We have a very good symmetry. Here again, instead of being a breast in the tree, the lady of the sycamore is herself nourishing her devotees here. Again, the morphology of the tree looks quite similar as the ones depicted in the ceiling of this temple. And I find interesting also to note that the face of Hathor being here and the horizon being here, and the concept of the horizon giving birth to the sun depicted here, it seems to me to resemble a depiction of a woman giving birth. So here would be her knees, her open legs and her knees, and her looking in front of her, maybe pushing the sun out of the horizon. Very clear symbology of fertility and the breasts of nourishing. So we can see the suckling people here and the drinking people here from the tree, and remembering the first image. There are another symbolism of suckling in Egypt, which is this one. The pharaoh suckling on a cow's tits. And this cow is associated with Hathor. This crown is associated, we can see this crown in Isis and maybe in Hathor, I think so. But this cow is clearly a divine cow. And the pharaoh here is suckling. It's a very interesting symbol. The shape of the cow is quite reminiscent of the position of Hathor here. And actually I aligned the feet of the cow to the feet of Hathor, to the ground in the symbol. If we think of this divine cow as a cosmic cow, she could be understood also as the Milky Way. And here we have the pharaoh suckling on her tits. And now I will give some literary context for this symbol, as translated by Susan Brind Morrow, who made a fantastic translation of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's the more recent translation I know of. Recommend it to anyone interested in religion and the mysteries and yoga. It's a great book. Or poetry also, and literature. It's the oldest religious text, one of the oldest texts in the whole, and for sure the oldest religious text we have. Here it is, some quotes from it. And here the pharaoh Unis is the pharaoh who is responsible for the construction of one of the earliest, if not the earliest, pyramids. And the walls are full of this text, which was the funerary text of the Egyptians to help them get through the journey of the dead. And after all, it seems that this journey was quite literally to the sky. And here, as the pharaoh Unis is rising through the sky, he is said to be with the gods, the holy ones, the Neteru. Unis loves the gods and is said to be asking for their love. So very loving portion of the text. And the reproductive system and the endocrine system that is related to the reproduction and nourishing of our babies is very closely associated with oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. It's now sometimes called a love hormone. The presence of love in the text here is very soothing. The pharaoh is told to rise on the knee of the falcon, probably Horus, who is helping him in the climb through heaven. So he's told to rise, to climb, to float. He's flowing up. That is the rising of Unis onto the knees of Isis. So he's told to go on the knees of Isis like a baby, like an infant, in his mother's knees. And the knees of Nephthys, who is the sister of Isis, and they both are associated with the conception of Horus by the mummy of Osiris. Unis is said to be counted among the stars, among his mothers, Isis and Nephthys, and to be precious, to be protected, among them the stars and the Neteru and the deities. So, mother of little unis, give this your breast, that he may cross it over his mouth. So, this cow is giving the pharaoh her breast, her tits. The symbol is very clear. That he may cross it over his mouth, that he may drink from you your milk of shining white light, that unis may travel this land and not thirst nor hunger there until eternity. So Unis is in the process of achieving eternal life after death, and the milk of shining white light gives him the eternal life without thirst nor hunger, which are things of the body. So without a body, we can't thirst nor hunger. And but he is told to go to the light, to focus on the light instead of the darkness. And if he's in the night sky with the Milky Way, we can understand the the milk of shining white light as the light of the Milky Way. So his soul is very well positioned to have a good afterlife in this beautiful landscape of the cosmos. It's a very beautiful symbolism after all. Another part of the pyramid text, a little bit after the ones I read before. Your mouth is the milky mouth of a newborn calf. The pharaoh is clearly associated with a calf or a baby cow, baby bull, and he's suckling on the Milky Way, which is milky because of, we call it milky because this symbol is very ancient and it keeps on for today. Sadly, urban people can't see it no more, but sometimes it's good to travel someplace where you can see just a little bit of it, if not deserts and mountains and incredible places where you can see it in its full glory. This symbol of fertility and nutrition and maternity is very well depicted. Let's add another way to depict this kind of thing, which is Isis suckling Horus. So here she is giving her breast, and she's wearing this crown, which is a bull's horn with the solar disc in the middle, and here are maybe lotus flowers, it seems, making a crown. And so here is Isis is Horus' mother, but she is wearing the crown associated with Hathor, which shows the interchangeability and the connections and the kind of different aspects for symbolizing the same thing. This crown, this horned crown with a sun disk, is very well attested in the Egyptian symbology. And in here it's a cow, and here is Isis, but the pharaoh is doing the same thing. Horus is a deity associated with the living pharaohs, and his father Osiris with dead pharaohs. So this text is treating about the text I read is treating the journey of the pharaoh in death. So he's getting born into death, just like babies get born into life. Here we can see both symbols, someone drinking from the Milky Way in his journey to the afterlife, and someone drinking from his mother in his journey to life. And this symbol is very well known, especially because New Age movement made it very popular nowadays, but it's very well known in mysticism today and also scholarly studies. The mother suckling his child is found very commonly in another religious tradition. Here we can see where Christianity took this kind of depiction of fertility and nourishment and the loving aspect of nature. we have the crown here. It looks like the crown here in Isis. And in other symbols, we have other aspects of the Isis symbology. Here there is no crown, there is just the infant Jesus. We can find the bull down here. This is the birth of Christ in the manger, and this is the adoration of the Magi. We can't find the whole crown of Isis, but we can find some aspects of it, like the bull, and here the crown, and here the disc. And this is a Black Madonna, which is associated with a conception of African tradition of a black mother and her black child, because after all, Egypt is fully African culture, very cosmopolite in the Delta, but very much inserted in Africa. Black Madonna comes from a tradition that clearly comes from Africa and very well attested historically. And here we have the solar disc in her head, and here we have the crown, and here we have the bull. All mothers with the children. There is another one which is later. This is Byzantine. This is from the medieval times, and I think the next one is from the beginning of the Renaissance, which has the full symbology, almost full, without the crown. But here we have the disc, the solar disc, and the bull. The bull here, clearly depicted above Jesus, and it's a very beautiful symbol. And as Mother Mary is understood as a celestial being, it's very, very easy to visualize her in the Milky Way with her blue, dark blue and golden robes and dresses. Actually here in Black Madonna, this color is very associated with the Mother of Christ, which is the color of the night sky basically. So you can see iconographically that these symbols are very ancient, and there is a clear meaning to them about fertility and nourishment and the beginning of life here on the living side of things. And here are the informations. This is the earliest ones after Egypt, not the earliest Christian ones from Byzantine in the 500s. Black Madonna is from 1350, and this one is from the Renaissance, and this one also from the medieval times, which is very good also to point out that it's a very good depiction of Mary in the medieval period, which we associate with some kind of more stylized depictions like this, but we can see that the statue is very realistic, which is quite common, that people could very well do realistic things, but they preferred, or they didn't search for realism all the time. The symbology was very appreciated. To finish up with a bang, 3,000 years before Christianity 2,000 years before the feminists who associate the face of a cow with the uterus, we have 30,000 years ago this depiction in the Lascaux cave in the Paleolithic in France. We have this depiction, which is a bison, European bison, and woman legs and vulva. Her legs, knees, the other leg, and the bison head just above the vulva, the pubic triangle here. So what is above the vulva in the anatomy of the human body? The uterus. And How did the Egyptians depict Hathor? So here we have again the association of the bison, which we see in Egypt as a cow, as Hathor, and the vulva. So this is one of the earliest clear symbolic connections I can find, and is just this subject. And I find very, very great that feminists are using it to this day. From the 30,000 years ago to this day, women keep the tradition alive by telling stories to their childs and painting walls. And actually, it makes very much sense that this is the most ancient symbol because it is one of the things it's hardest to lose is the things we learn from our mothers in our early years. That's why the word for mother has the same root very much universally in all continents, which is ma, something like that. And in Brazil, where I'm from, is mãe, and babies and people call their mothers mamãe, which is suckling, mamar. So mamãe, mother, and mamar, suckling is very related words, and around the world, words for mother usually have ma sounds, which can be understood as a baby sucking on a breast, like mwah, 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 mwah. This kind of words and symbolic expression certainly comes from the beginnings of language, when people still used very much onomatopoeic sounds to construct their words, like the name of shoe. And so this symbol seems to be being passed around since the beginning, which is very comforting to know that our ancestral mothers are still going strong. That's it. Hope you enjoyed. I'm still trying to get a handle of the narrative of the videos, the communication of it. But let's see what I can do. Okay, next until next time, and enjoy.